I'm trying to get you. I'm finna get to the whole nitty gritty. She don't want me to tell the story.
Nah, boy, you beat my ass when I was pregnant. I hadn't even talked to no man, bitch. Okay, so stop lying.
This the type of bitch that get beat. Long story short.
I ain't get to tell you. I ain't get to tell about Udi. Then
I swear you'll die.
Then I gotta die like that. You told my shit.
Give me my phone.
I gotta die if I tell what happened.
Give me my phone.
That's crazy, y'all. I ain't really die about it, so y'all won't know that tea right now.
Give me my phone.
Mark done got quiet. Where he at? He right here. He getting mad. He don't like the truth coming out.
In June 2025, a series of videos began circulating on TikTok, featuring a Georgia couple in the middle of a heated argument. The clips didn't come from either of their own accounts, making it difficult for viewers to follow the exact sequence of events. And adding to the confusion was the woman's strong Georgia accent, which made parts of the exchange harder to understand. Yet, it was obvious she was distressed, and while her partner appeared more composed, he was clearly upset as well. But it just seemed like another messy social media relationship drama that'll pop up on your TL like roaches at night. However, this one was different because the drama didn't end on TikTok. It ended with both spouses dead, and the woman, Zaria Khadijah Carr, known online as Duchess Dior, was 27 years old, a mother of 2, and a former corrections officer. She also ran a hair service business in Statesboro, Georgia, and had built a following of roughly 35,000 people on her Duchess Dior Facebook page, where she posted about motherhood, lifestyle, and her relationship. Meanwhile, her husband, 36-year-old Shamarcus Jamil Carr, also ran a Facebook page named The Frenchman, with about 44,000 followers. He presented himself as a French bulldog breeder and frequently posted snapshots of their life together, including maternity photos. They met when Zaria worked as a corrections officer in the prison facility where Shamarkua was incarcerated. And after his release, he moved in with her and her young son. Soon after, she became pregnant, and the two eventually married. But their marriage, according to many signs, was far from stable. Now, the Facebook Live that later gained attention began with Shamarcus accusing Zaria of cheating. During the stream, he also admitted to having been unfaithful in the past, and for nearly an hour, the two went back and forth, each accusing the other of infidelity.
I go through the messages and shit, see her telling him, oh, I'ma call you back. I'm on the phone with his mama. Long story, what the fuck are you right?
I ain't fuck with
You doing?
You fuck her.
Okay, so
I didn't fuck
so what did you give you the right to go talk to him?
No, I didn't.
Okay,
You lied. You
At one point, Shamarcus made a wild statement, saying that this was the kind of behavior that gets someone beat up.
Run your mouth and beat your ass now.
did.
Keep running your mouth. I told you sit back in the damn office. But she don't want me to tell it because she knows she's slime.
Oh my kid, you slime. You talk to that nigga bitch.
Okay, again, let me tell the story.
Oh my bitch, you trying you slime. You that nigga bitch. And you
Again.
you bitch. I got all the screenshots.
I'll be back, y'all.
Now, right after ending his live stream, viewers suspected the argument had escalated off camera, and that suspicion was confirmed when Shamarcus went live again, this time wearing a different shirt, smoking a cigar, and appearing noticeably more agitated.
We come back. So the doctor tell her when she get her results, the damn folks tell her she got herpes. So I'm thinking in my head that you gotta have an outbreak, you know what I'm saying?
In this second broadcast, Shamarcus went on to accuse Zaria of casting a spell on him, claiming it had caused financial troubles, and mentioned his intention to file for divorce.
Somebody in my white family got roots on me. They're praying on my brain. They praying on my downfall.
The Lord fell on me now.
After all that,
I got the photos, the screenshots.
After-
Put me too.
Meanwhile, Zaria was also live on her own Facebook page, and during her stream, she mentioned someone named Udi, a man Shamarcus was allegedly involved with. She implied that he was bisexual, which prompted Shamarcus to hit her and threaten her life. But then, out of nowhere, both of their streams ended abruptly, leaving many fearing the worst. However, once again, Shamarcus went live, this time claiming that Zaria had ended her live stream and run off naked, with no idea where she might be, when, in reality, he had already killed her.
lost it. Beat her. She said I beat her for 3 hours straight. I can't recall. Now here it is. She done called the police. No, she ran out the house. I really let her go. She ran out the house.
He ain't let me go out street.
Ass naked. Ran to the car. Jumped in the car. I f***ed around, left the keys in the car, went to the police station.
Less than 2 hours later, at around 9:30 p.m., police responded to a domestic disturbance call at the couple's home on the 100 block of 5th Avenue in Twin City. Officers from the Twin City Police Department, the Emmanuel County Sheriff's Office, and Emmanuel County EMS arrived to find Zaria unresponsive in their home. She was pronounced dead at the scene, with investigators later confirming she had been shot. Their 2021 Dodge Challenger was missing from their garage, so authorities issued an alert, and by 11 p.m., deputies located the vehicle in Wayne County. When officers got close to where it was parked, they saw Shamarcus inside. He had turned the gun on himself, ending his life on the spot. This is the haunting moment. 28-year-old beauty influencer Jennifer Martins was caught on camera, clinging for her life before being swept away by a flood in Brazil. Long before that, Jennifer had built an Instagram following of over 81,000 by sharing fashion, lifestyle content, and glimpses of her life with Lima, her husband of 8 years and partner of 14 years in total. However, on the night of November 24th, 2024, that smile was tragically lost forever. Now, earlier that day, Jennifer posted a now-deleted video on Instagram with the caption, "I'm going to be young again," showing herself listening to music during a night out with her husband. But then, after midnight, a storm brought brutal rainfall, which caused intense flooding across Uberlandia and trapped the couple in their vehicle on a submerged street. Their car was hit by another vehicle, forcing them to get out and attempt to escape the rising waters. Security footage captured their desperate struggle as they clung to the car in waist-high, fast-moving water. And then, someone nearby tried extending a ladder to help them, but the ladder was too short and the current was too strong. Jennifer couldn't hold on longer, and so unfortunately, she was swept approximately 300 meters away, while Lima managed to survive. At around 1:25 a.m., she was found unconscious, and both firefighters and Lima tried to resuscitate her, but at that point, she had died from drowning and multiple traumas, becoming the first confirmed victim of the storm in the area. Later that day, her funeral was held at Bom Pastor Cemetery. While on Instagram stories, Lima shared his heartbreak, writing, "I just wanted her back," before later posting a video thanking supporters and addressing the misinformation surrounding the tragedy. Yet, probably the most heartbreaking part is that her final moments were all caught on camera. On September 27, 2024, Irina Glazunova, a 24-year-old Russian influencer from Moscow, tragically died after falling into an underground subway passage in Tbilisi, Georgia, while filming a selfie video. And I get it. That might sound weird and maybe even impossible to you, but allow me to explain. You see, Glazunova, a graduate from the Russian Academy of National Economy and Public Administration, had traveled to Tbilisi to visit friends and was enjoying a night out in the city's First Republic Square. However, around 2:30 a.m., she was walking with a friend singing For the Last Time by the Russian boy band Hunger Boys and recording herself on her phone. Caught up in the moment, she skipped across the pavement while looking toward her friend's phone camera, not paying attention to where she was going. And then as soon as she took the phone to record her friend, she tripped backward over a knee-high wall just 30 centimeters tall and fell 5 meters into an underground subway passage. The video showed her happily singing before suddenly screaming as she disappeared headfirst over the edge. Glazunova suffered catastrophic injuries, including multiple fractures, a broken neck, and a skull base fracture. She was rushed to the hospital but died at 9:15 a.m. that morning. Now, while Glazunova was famous online, this incident went viral for a bunch of other reasons. And one of them was the fact that the wall structure she hit was very low, and it didn't even have any protective fencing, making it a serious risk. Secondly, the height was a violation of building norms, leading people to pin her demise on the Tbilisi government. Meanwhile, Glazunova's parents traveled to Georgia to bring her body home, and her funeral was held at Moscow's Vagankovsky Cemetery. On November 18, 2024, 24-year-old Amanda dos Santos Barbosa was filming a selfie video while riding in a moving car when she suddenly fell out and was struck by another vehicle. For context, Amanda was born and raised in João Pessoa. She made her living doing eyelash extensions and had built up a following online thanks to her fun, high-energy posts that reflected her bright and lively personality. However, that night, Amanda was heading home from a party with 3 friends in the Bancarios neighborhood. The group had been drinking heavily, something confirmed by both police and her friend, Thaisa Figueiredo, who owned the white car they were in. Thaisa admitted she was far too drunk to drive, so she handed the wheel over to a male friend who, according to her, was sober. There are even clips from just moments before the tragedy, showing the group laughing, dancing, and clearly having a great time. Amanda, though, had a reputation for doing wild and risky things when she was in the mood for fun. So around 12:16 a.m., she was standing in the car's sunroof, wearing heels and recording herself, while 2 of her friends leaned out of the roof beside her. At one point, Amanda climbed onto the rear window frame, or possibly even the roof. Security camera footage later showed her sitting on the side window when she suddenly lost her balance and tumbled out of the moving car, hitting her head hard on the pavement. A white car driving alongside them managed to brake and pull over, but a black car, which had been waiting at a nearby intersection, suddenly sped up and ran over Amanda as she lay motionless on the road. Emergency responders rushed her to the emergency and trauma hospital in João Pessoa, but her injuries were too severe. She died shortly after arriving. A forensic report from the Instituto de Pericia Científica confirmed that the cause of death was hemorrhagic shock from chest trauma. However, since she was quickly taken away from the scene, investigators couldn't determine with certainty whether the fatal injuries came from the fall itself or from being hit by the car, as no forensic analysis was done on site. One of her friends, Thaisa, also told police that the music in the car had been blasting so loudly that they didn't realize immediately that Amanda had fallen, even though people outside were shouting. And because of this, authorities have said that charges related to causing a homicide could be considered against her friends. But so far, no arrests have been made. It's one thing for a TikToker to be targeted and killed, but it's on an entirely different level of shocking when it happens live on TikTok.
Patay matapos barilin habang naka-livestream ang isang babaeng social media influencer sa Mexico.
23-year-old Valeria Marquez was shot dead on camera at her salon in western Mexico.
May 13, 2025, the internet was left stunned after a popular Mexican TikToker named Valeria Marquez was killed during a live stream. She was simply a beauty influencer from Guadalajara, with nearly 200,000 followers across TikTok and Instagram. Valeria built her following by posting makeup tutorials, fashion content, and glimpses into her daily life. Beyond social media, she also owned a beauty salon called Blossom the Beauty Lounge in Zapopan, a city in the state of Jalisco. Her rise began in 2021 when she won a local beauty pageant called Miss Rostro, a victory that helped launch her into the online spotlight. But that promising career was cut short in the most horrific way imaginable. On the day of her tragic death, Valeria was live streaming from inside her salon. She sat at a table, holding a pink stuffed pig toy, chatting casually with her followers. Earlier that same day, someone had come by the salon with an expensive gift for her. But since she wasn't there at the time, the person insisted on delivering it directly to her. What made the situation more unsettling was that the gift giver was wearing a mask. And when Valeria was told about this, it left her shaken. During her live stream, she even admitted to her viewers that the whole situation had left her feeling uneasy.
Güey, a lo mejor me iban a matar, güey.
No, a decir un regalo, pero no sabía que mi papá no era como nombre. Y
Un
te
regalo
regalo
costoso.
Y aparte,
En una hora regreso. ¿Y en qué venía? ¿En moto? Me iban a levantar. Ok.
Then, around 6:30 p.m., a man pulled up on a motorcycle and walked into the salon. He asked her, "Hi, are you Valeria?" She answered, "Yes." Right after that, she muted her live stream. And just seconds later, she was shot in the chest and head. She collapsed in her chair, and blood was visible on the desk in front of her. The live stream kept rolling until another woman came into view and ended the broadcast. When police and paramedics arrived, it was already too late. Valeria was dead. Authorities in Jalisco are treating her death as a femicide, meaning they believe she was targeted because she was a woman. Investigators suspect the killing was personal, and some local outlets reported that Valeria had once dated a man tied to the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, one of the most violent criminal groups in the region. Mexican media even circulated messages where Valeria expressed fear of this ex-boyfriend and warned that if anything happened to her, he would be responsible. Still, prosecutors maintain that there's currently no solid evidence connecting the cartel to her murder. So for now, investigators are looking into everyone close to her, friends, family, and even the mysterious woman who rushed in to end that live stream. Witnesses reported seeing two men on a motorcycle at the salon during the attack, and investigators believe they may have been hired hitmen. Strangely, just hours before Valeria's murder, a former congressman was shot dead in the same general area. Police haven't confirmed whether the two cases are connected, but they haven't ruled out the possibilities either. And since this case is still relatively recent, investigations remain ongoing as authorities continue gathering evidence. Meanwhile, Valeria's TikTok account was taken down shortly after the incident.
Mumbai-based social media influencer Anvi Kamdar lost her life at Kumbhe Waterfalls on 16th of July.
Anvi Kamdar was a social media influencer and she had gone to the mountains to Raigad to make this reel, and there you see those pictures of a smiling face. Such a tragedy.
Anvi came from Mumbai's Mulund area and had an impressive professional background. She spent 5 years at Deloitte India, where she specialized in company valuation, risk advisory, and process development. But eventually, she decided to take a different path in life, stepping away from the corporate world to dive full-time into content creation. Unfortunately, that decision would lead to her death. Under her Instagram handle, @TheGlocal.Journal, Anvi built a loyal following by sharing content centered around monsoon destinations, luxury travel, unique experiences, detailed travel itineraries, and lifestyle tips. However, on July 16, 2024, Anvi traveled to Kumbhe Waterfall, located about 80 miles from Mumbai, for a monsoon getaway with friends. 3 of them were from Mumbai, and 3 had come from Delhi. But around 10 a.m., while recording a video on a narrow ridge popular with influencers for its scenic views, Anvi stepped onto a slippery rock, lost her balance, and fell nearly 300 to 350 feet into the gorge below. Her friends immediately rushed for help, contacting the Mangaon police and alerting nearby locals. Soon, a massive rescue operation began, involving the Coast Guard, the Kolad Rescue Team, the Maharashtra State Electricity Board, and the Sahyadri Wildlife Conservation Society. But despite all that manpower, rescuing her was difficult. Anvi was badly injured, and the heavy rain made it impossible to reach her directly. Rescuers then decided to use a vertical pulley system, and honestly, the operation took nearly 6 hours, but eventually, Anvi was pulled out. She was rushed to Mangaon Taluka Government Hospital, where she initially regained consciousness and was placed on a ventilator. Yet, despite every effort to save her, she passed away later that afternoon from multiple fractures and severe injuries. Her body was returned to her family, and her final rites were performed in Mumbai the following day, July 17th. Still, what makes her story even more heartbreaking is the timing. Because just 1 day before her death, Anvi had uploaded what would become her final Instagram video, a guide to her top 5 affordable and lesser-known monsoon destinations in India. And unfortunately, that video would capture her final moments alive.
Hoy asesinaron a otro influencer mientras transmitía en vivo.
El joven que hizo denuncias sobre nexos de la banda criminal del Tren de Aragua con funcionarios estatales había recibido amenazas.
This is the moment 25-year-old Venezuelan influencer Gabriel Jesus Sarmiento, known for his fearless and outspoken videos, was brutally killed while live on TikTok. Before this, Gabriel often spoke out against dangerous criminal gangs like Tren de Aragua and Tren del Llano. He wasn't afraid to accuse certain police officers of working hand-in-hand with these groups. He lived in Maracay, a city in the Aragua region of Venezuela, and online he went by the username Unleaks, where he had over 100,000 followers on TikTok. He chose to use his background as a trained programmer and cybersecurity analyst to talk about real issues: crime, corruption, and injustice. But that wasn't all. Several times, Gabriel claimed he was harassed and threatened by both gang members and corrupt officials. He even said he had been kidnapped once by a police unit known as Dayet. And Gabriel didn't stick to vague accusations. He named names and openly called out well-known gang leaders, including Hector Rustenford Guerrero, also known as Nino Guerrero, one of Venezuela's most wanted criminals. In his videos, Gabriel tagged high-ranking officials like the Minister of the Interior, Diosdado Cabello, and Aragua's governor, Joana Sanchez, hoping to get their attention and spark change. But speaking out like that came with consequences. Serious ones. He made enemies, and powerful ones at that. At one point, he was even framed by two of his former partners who accused him of harassment and threats, which led to his brief detention in Aragua. Still, Gabriel refused to back down. He kept posting, he kept talking, until his enemies had had enough, and they decided it was time to silence him, for good. On the night of June 22, 2025, sometime between 9 and 10 p.m., Gabriel started a TikTok live stream from his home in El Piñonal, Maracay. He was doing what he always did, exposing the corruption and violence around him. But something went horribly wrong. In the background, a woman, later confirmed to be Gabriel's mother, was heard screaming. Suddenly, Gabriel began shouting his address out loud, urgently calling for Sabine, Venezuela's intelligence agency, to come save him. Moments later, loud bangs rang out as armed men forced their way into his home, breaking through a hole they'd made in the wall. The camera captured two of them with their faces fully visible before the live stream cut off. By the time police arrived, Gabriel had been shot at least 9 times, killing him instantly. His mother had also been shot in the stomach, but after an emergency surgery, she survived. By the next day, June 23rd, the horrifying live stream had already spread across social media. Venezuela's Attorney General Tarek William Saab announced that an official investigation was underway and that the case had been assigned to the 69th Prosecutor's Office, which handles organized crime. Authorities promised justice, vowing to find those responsible. But so far, progress has been slow. A few suspects have been arrested, but no one has been formally charged. And now many fear this may end up being just another tragic case that slips through the cracks. But for now, all anyone can do is just wait and see.
Matthew Yeomans and Stacy Turow loved adventure and documented their off-road exploits on their popular YouTube channel, Toyota World Runners. On Thursday, August 7th, the engaged couple from Nanaimo were off-roading in the Kootenays when their vehicle rolled down a steep slope.
August 7th, 2025, Stacy Turow and Matthew Yeomans, a Canadian influencer couple best known for their YouTube channel, Toyota World Runners, tragically died in an off-roading accident in British Columbia's West Kootenay region. The couple, originally from Nanaimo, British Columbia, began their journey as content creators in February 2020, and then over time they built a dedicated following of more than 200,000 YouTube subscribers and 74,000 Instagram followers by documenting their off-road adventures and vehicle modifications, including their ambitious plan to drive the Pan-American Highway. Their travels spanned across North and South America, where they showcased their expertise in retrofitting Land Cruisers and RVs. But one of their standout projects was the construction of the first Land Cruiser Chinook, completed in just 100 days. However, their final Instagram post, shared on July 31st, 2025, just 6 days before the accident, showed them enjoying summer on Vancouver Island. In it, they expressed joy at experiencing the seasons again after years of continuous travel.
I love all the views we keep getting to the ocean while we're on it. Whereas like the places that I go in Washington, that's tougher to find.
And then on August 7th, 2025, while navigating a remote forestry road near Trout Lake in the Purcell Mountains, the couple's heavily modified off-road vehicle lost control on rough terrain, causing the vehicle to roll multiple times down a steep 656-foot boulder field, a rare section of the trail without trees to stop its descent. Another vehicle traveling with them quickly alerted authorities, bringing rescuers assisted by a helicopter and ground teams using ropes due to the dangerous terrain to eventually reach the crash site. Yeomans had been ejected from the vehicle and was found without vital signs, suggesting he died on impact. Teru, still inside the vehicle, was conscious but severely disoriented with a traumatic head injury. She was airlifted to a hospital but succumbed to her injuries later that night, and it is also unclear whether the couple was filming at the time. The news of their death was shared through Teru's mother, Colleen, who publicly announced the tragedy on Facebook. And though they aren't here with us no more, Stacy and Matthew's legacy continues through their Toyota World Runners community and YouTube channel, which is still active to this day.
Tanner Martin has been laid to rest.
Influencer Tanner Martin announcing his own death on Instagram Wednesday, about a week after entering hospice, and just 41 days after he and his wife Shay welcomed their first child.
I was shocked. Like, I knew something was wrong, but I did not think it was going to be cancer.
Now we've seen influencers kill themselves and others get killed. But what happens when an influencer predicts their own death? On June 25th, 2025, Tanner Martin, a 30-year-old influencer from Utah, passed away from stage 4 colon cancer, just 41 days after the birth of his daughter, Amy Lou. For context, Martin's health struggles began in November 2020 when, at just 25 years old, he noticed blood in his stool. Because of his young age, doctors initially dismissed it, but as his symptoms persisted, fatigue, weight loss, and other warning signs, a colonoscopy finally revealed colon cancer. Martin began documenting his battle on Instagram and TikTok, gradually building a supportive online community. By June 2021, he had completed chemotherapy and proudly rang the bell to mark the milestone. However, that victory was short-lived, because in November 2021, the cancer returned, and even worse, in February 2023, doctors told him the disease was incurable, estimating he had just 2 to 5 years left to live. Now, despite undergoing more than 50 rounds of chemotherapy, radiation treatments, and 6 major surgeries, Martin and his wife Shay chose to fill their remaining time together with joy. They checked off bucket list adventures traveling to Ireland, Disney World, Mexico, and Italy, and even met Star Wars legend Mark Hamill. In November 2024, they shared even more emotional news. Shay was pregnant after a successful round of IVF. The decision carried both grief and hope, knowing Tanner's prognosis. And so before Amy Lou's birth, Martin and Shay worked with artist Amber Eldridge to create a special family portrait. The painting showed Tanner as an angel dad and husband, smiling alongside Shay while both held Amy Lou swaddled in pink. However, less than 24 hours after that, an artist delivered that painting. Tanner was dead. Shay then went on to post to their Instagram a pre-recorded video Tanner had made to announce his own passing.
You guys, life was awesome. I really enjoyed it while I was here. Hopefully, I believe there's something after this, and I'm excited to meet those people, and hopefully we're hanging out now and making fun of all you nerds.
In it, he reflected on what he called his heck of a life and shared his excitement about what awaited him in the afterlife. And in the aftermath of his passing, supporters rallied around Shay and Amy Lou. A GoFundMe raised more than $700,000 to cover immediate expenses and secure Amy Lou's future needs, including childcare and education. Tributes also flooded social media, with many honoring Tanner not just for his courage, but for his willingness to be vulnerable and openly share a journey that, while leading to his death, was filled with so much life.
People in Southern California and all around the world are rallying to support an LA firefighter after his wife died delivering their first child.
Haley Okula, a well-known nurse, died from rare complications during childbirth.
March 29th, 2025, Haley Okula, a 33-year-old emergency room nurse and social media influencer known as Nurse Haley, tragically lost her life from childbirth complications shortly after delivering her first child. So, what exactly happened? Well, first things first, Haley wasn't just any nurse on TikTok or Instagram. She had built a following of nearly 1 million people by being open, real, and vulnerable about her life. Her journey began back in 2019 when she launched the RN New Grads program, a resource designed to help fresh nursing graduates find their footing. And then over the years, her content blended her professional life in the ER with her personal battle to start a family. But honestly, that battle wasn't easy. Because for almost 2 years, Haley and her husband Matthew, a Los Angeles firefighter, faced the painful reality of infertility as they both carried the same genetic disease, which meant they had to go through IVF with a specialized probe. However, in September 2024, their persistence finally paid off as Haley announced her pregnancy to her followers. She shared every aspect of her pregnancy journey: the emotional toll, the physical exhaustion, the hope, and finally, the joy when their very first embryo transfer worked. Fast forward to late March 2025. After 3 exhausting days of labor at Orange Coast Medical Center in Fountain Valley, California, Haley finally delivered her son through a C-section, and at first it felt like the perfect ending to a long journey. She was smiling, joking with Matthew about how big their baby was, and everything seemed fine, but that moment of joy didn't last. According to Matthew, things changed the second he stepped out of the ward, because when he returned, Haley's condition had taken a sudden turn. A doctor told him her oxygen levels had dropped, and within a minute, she went into cardiac arrest. Haley had suffered from what's known as an amniotic fluid embolism, or AFE. It's extremely rare, occurring in only about 1 in every 40,000 deliveries in the US, and nearly impossible to predict. In cases like this, amniotic fluid enters the mother's bloodstream, triggering a severe reaction that can cause cardiac arrest, massive bleeding, and brain damage from lack of oxygen. There are no warning signs, no known risk factors, and no way to prevent it. The mortality rate ranges anywhere from 10% to as high as 90%. So despite the doctor's desperate efforts, Haley could not be saved. April 1st, 2025, Matthew broke the devastating news through Haley's Instagram account. He wrote about her strength, her love, and how much being a mom meant to her. Then, the nursing community, the Los Angeles Fire Department, and her online followers all came together to support her family by funding a GoFundMe with over $292 for funeral costs and her son's future. Now Matthew faces life as a single father, but he's made a promise to raise awareness about AFE so fewer families have to go through what he did, and to raise their son, Crew, in a way that will always make Haley proud.